Anyone who has ever played cards understands the concept of understanding the cards you hold and how that can either help you win or lose the game. Gypsy has been playing only one card since we've ever heard of her, since she came across our news channels and then across our televisions and then across our Netflix and Hulu and all of that with The Act and then her additional documentaries. Gypsy Rose told the journalist interviewing her truth, and they shared her supposed truth in the documentaries, in the TV shows, etc., etc. Now we're here in 2024. She's out of prison, and pretty soon it'll in a couple months it'll be a year that she'll have been out of prison. She had 8 years in prison to show us who she was. She's had all year out of prison to show us who she is. And I see only 2 cards being played. Actually, 3 cards. Let me correct that. 1, sympathy card. 2, get money from people or engagements and get paid for my appearances. 3, media coverage. Let me do whatever I can, including getting tattoos. Send that to TMZ so they can cover it. Now we come to find out that those tattoos are trophy tattoos. Okay? So we know who she is. And the public is starting to learn who she is. And YouTube definitely, a lot of people on YouTube know who she really is. But let's just say the general public, all they know of her is her television shows and what she's done out of prison. Well, she claims herself to have been a celebrity. And when people said, you're not a celebrity, you're infamous. You're not famous, you're infamous. She changed that title to advocate. That was this year, 2024. Since becoming an advocate, she has met with Kim K and given a statement about the Menendez Brothers, which you see here, and spoken at a university. 3 things. Now, you would think that those 3 things were real advocacy, but let me show you how in each example they were not. They were to build herself up or to use the opportunity to elevate herself. 1, she meets with Kim K. Kim K is an actual advocate. Kim K basically hired someone to teach her and go through legal school and learn how to pass the bar exam. You know how much studying that takes? Kim did all that. Kim passed the bar exam. Not easy to do. She studied law. Now, I don't approve of all the things Kim Kardashian says or does or associates with, but I'm honest, and I'll admit, she has done real advocacy work. She spent months, hours, meeting with the family members of prisoners, talking to the family members, interviewing them, working with their attorneys, covering the cases, until they eventually got out of prison and they're with their families now. And then after they get out, Kim K, even though she's a celebrity, and even though she got them out of prison, and she still went and had dinner with the family members and celebrated their release. Could you imagine Gypsy doing something like that? Do you think Gypsy would study for months to pass a bar exam just so she could be an advocate? Do you think Gypsy would spend time talking to family members and prisoners, their attorneys, and she's not getting paid for it? Do you think Gypsy would then get them out of prison and then spend additional time celebrating with the family members, being hugged by the family members, and not trying to get autographs out of it, not trying to get paid for it, or even post about it and try to be more famous off of it? No, you guys know what Gypsy would do. If she even tried to become half the advocate Kim K is, we all know what she would really do with it. She'd have to be paid for every single inch of the way. Now, second example. is the Menendez Brothers. She speaks about the Menendez Brothers when TMZ is informed that she's going to be at the airport. Spends forever doing her hair. It still looks like a French fry. Here's a photo of that day at the airport. TMZ interviews her, and she had nothing to say about the Menendez Brothers then. And that was just a few weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, she releases a statement. Now, you would think that the statement would say something like, the public gave me a second chance when I got out, and I'm just sending them wishes for a second chance. Or, my thoughts are with them. I know how hard prison can be. I really do hope that the justice they deserve comes. Or even something like, I stand with people who have been victims of sexual abuse. She claims that happened to her when she was 9 with her grandpa. So you think that if that happened to you, you would care about someone else who went through that same experience, but for their entire life. But it's odd that the statement she releases, let's read it. Gypsy fears that society has built the Menendez Brothers up will tear them down. Well, is she projecting here? Because it sounds like the timing of this is odd, because what's happening right now is Gypsy Rose is losing followers. Gypsy Rose is losing subscribers. Gypsy Rose is basically getting paid, but not getting good publicity out of these things that she does. When she partners with companies, they get bad rep on social media. When she goes on an interview with Kim K and she lies in the interview about mental health not being available to her, she gets bad publicity. So basically, she's getting a lot of bad publicity right now. But you know what? Media still threw her a bone. Okay? TMZ probably found out that when she sent them the photos of her tattoos, they probably have now realized that they were trophy tattoos. And now, despite all that, they gave her a little bone, a bone to save herself. Basically, a device to save herself because she's drowning in bad publicity right now. They threw her a lifeboat, which is let's talk about the Menendez Brothers. If you use this one chance for advocacy, the public will respect you. The public will have good things to say about you, and your reputation will start to build. But instead of using this as an opportunity for real advocacy, to show genuine support, to align and stand and say, I stand against people that are abusers, or I hope they get a second chance. No, she basically projects and indirectly is telling us, the public, the press, society, that since we built her up, we're responsible if she gets torn down. Gypsy, you have been given, I'll just say this, with all that Kim K did in her advocacy work, okay? Months for just one prisoner that got out. That's thousands of hours of advocacy work. All that work she put in, at least hundreds of hours. I mean, I don't have her time thing in front of me, but it was a lot of time. All that just so that she could be an advocate. Gypsy spends 10 minutes or whatever amount of time, 15 minutes, interviewing with Kim K and thinks they're on the same level in advocacy work. I guarantee you in Gypsy's mind, she thinks she's done just as much as Kim K has. It's hilarious. But it's also sad because if Kim K even pulled one of the stunts that Gypsy had, if Kim K lied in even one interview and said, while I was in prison, mental health was not available to me, and it was, every news channel would be talking about it. What Gypsy doesn't realize is that most celebrities work really, really hard. Even someone like Taylor Swift, who is famous and all the little preteens and teens, listen to her constantly. Taylor Swift is working hours and hours and hours and hours every week, practicing, singing her songs, being in the studio, laying out the tour, rehearsing for the tour, doing the tour, and then traveling back home. It is so much work. And that's even if you're not writing your own music. Most celebrities work their arses off, okay? Kim K worked tirelessly to build her brand and her image. Tirelessly. Doing interviews, going to malls, doing conferences. I remember she even went to prom. It was Kylie too, went to a prom with just a normal person. They do things all the time for people. Yes, most celebs have dirt on them, okay? But they do real advocacy work as well. The problem with Gypsy is she's got a lot of dirt on her, a lot of mud, but there's no real advocacy. There's no real genuine attempt to do kindness for anyone else. And she never does things for free, right? There's never real true volunteer work with her. And so every company she touches gets stained, including TMZ. And I think they're realizing that, but they're at a point now with Gyps where, from a marketing perspective, they're like, okay, we could save her image. All we have to do is give her one chance at real advocacy work, and she does it. And they threw her this bone, this story right here. She had a chance to save her image and her kingdom that she has somehow gotten and didn't work for. She did unalive someone for it, but she didn't work for it. There's a big difference. And she's still playing the one only card, sympathy card. Sympathy. Meanwhile, Kim K worked really hard. She earned people's respect. Kim K did real advocacy work. But even now, she's getting stained because rumors are coming out about other situations. Gypsy unalived someone and is not doing real advocacy work. And that is why the public is losing sympathy for her. She had one card, and that was a sympathy card. And sympathy only takes you so far. And sympathy only works if you do something with it. Right? Like, you receive sympathy, you give sympathy. Did she give the Menendez brothers any sympathy? No. Did she say, I hope you get a second chance? No. Now, the Menendez brothers, they've earned college degrees while in prison. They've tried to do reform in prison. They've also kept to themselves and not tried to get paid for a ridiculous amount of interviews and documentaries. They've also been honest and said they did what they did and why they did it. They also didn't pay someone, no offense, but they also didn't plan and use an autistic person and pay to have that autistic person do something that was awful for them and then put that person in jail for life. You see, the Menendez brothers, they have a sympathy card, but they didn't ask for it. It's because they're real victims and we gave them the sympathy. But with that sympathy card, they built a life, a real life. Number 3, they have the loyalty card because the people who have known them for a long time know that they are consistently working on themselves. They've earned our respect because they've been honest about what they did. They've accepted responsibility for it. And they have never blamed anyone else outside of what happened to them with their parents. They've never blamed events in their life on anyone else. I guarantee you, if the Menendez brothers get to get out and be with their wives that they have and they can start a family and be with their family, They're not going to leave their family 3 months later for someone else. They're not going to get in the media and blame their partner for being like their parents.